Hello, and welcome to Embracing Diabetes, a podcast that explores the way that people are living well with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Elizabeth Stephens, and today we're taking a little bit of a different tack. Amy Stockwell and I are just going to have a conversation about what's going on around the holidays for us and challenges and opportunities and what we've been learning and what we've been up to. And so I hope you enjoy.
So I thought, what an appropriate time for us to do this, because I've got alerts, I've got beeping going off all over the house telling me urgent low, urgent. I've been low all fucking morning.
Oh no, I
know,
hate
I don't know
that.
why. And yesterday morning, and so I don't really know what's going on. But
Are you sure? Do you want to do this now, or do you want to go take care of that stuff?
yeah,
or
no, I think I'm fine now. It just, you know how it takes a little bit long. Like I know I feel okay, but it takes longer for the machine to catch up and keep telling me that I'm low, but I'm not anymore. Yeah. So it's just frustrating because this is how it was yesterday morning, and I was at work, and then I just felt a zombie for most of the morning, which is frustrating. Yeah. I have one question, diabetes equipment related question before we talk about travel, post travel. But so the new Dexcom 7 came out.
Yeah, it's been FDA approved. I don't think it's available yet. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know anything about it?
I know what I've listened to, which is our friend, the broadcaster. She's actually got probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes on the G7. It's really something. And so she has one that I listen to.
Stacey Sims.
Stacey Sims. I don't know why I can never remember her name. She just doesn't feel like a Stacey. So she had an episode I listened to earlier this week. But basically what the dude from Dexcom said was that probably available early 2023. Of course, it'll have to get reviewed and approved by all the insurances. So that doesn't mean it'll be available depending on what your coverage is. And then paired with pumps, probably mid 2023. And it sounds pretty nice. It's got approval for arm. So that's nice. It's smaller.
But only approval for arm, right?
Weird.
That kind of is a con to me because I like wearing them down on my lower hip.
And I think it's just like everything. I think you can wear it there. But the guy on the interview said, yeah, you can. But he actually said that arms are more accurate.
Which really?
That was kind of interesting because they've always been no to arms with the G6, but seems like the G7 is different. They're going for the Libre market, I think.
Okay.
So their arms. And then they got the pregnancy approval. So that's good. And then 30-minute warm up, which is cool.
Which is a big difference compared to the 2 hours.
Oh, I know. So I don't think it's going to be like hugely different, but I think there's some nice features for sure.
And smaller too. I thought I read it. That's always nice.
Totally. And I think obviously 1 piece instead of 2, although I don't think that they said that the cost is probably going to be the same. So they'll just, whatever.
I just want the stupid Omnipod to get smaller. I still feel like that is it's big and clunky. It's just such a waste of, I just redid all this. I redid my Dexcom yesterday and my Omnipod yesterday. And it's just so much. You have this giant, what's the Omnipod thing that injects it into you, whatever that's called.
Like the Serter deal or whatever.
And that's big. And you just throw it away afterwards. It's just a waste of so much medical plastic, whatever.
I know the pile with the tandem's the same. Every time I do both, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much garbage. I go through every little piece, like take out the paper, I can recycle that. And I've got all these G6 things because you can take those apart and recycle like the metal. And so there's little pieces, but all the plastic has to go into the garbage.
And I'm always just, and then this actually would segue into travel, but I'm always so paranoid when I travel about throwing stuff away. In like the Airbnb that we stayed at in London, just throwing that stuff away in their trash and somebody coming across it. Nothing would happen, but I always feel I end up like taking that stuff back home with me in my luggage.
Me too. Yeah. I don't feel like initially I thought you could throw, I don't know how it is in South Carolina, but in Oregon, it's a little uncertain if it can go in garbage. So I put it in sharps, and the G6 thing is so huge. You can't put that in a sharp. So that's why I dissect it, because then I can throw the stuff away in the sharps.
Yeah. I always imagine like a garbage man grabbing a bag and getting stabbed by a syringe. Are you guys staying in town for Christmas? Are you traveling?
We aren't. We're not going anywhere. We're going to try to go skiing a couple days next week. There's a lot of snow coming. And we're really not doing very much. We're going to hang around here. The boys really like to be home for Christmas.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. We'll do I don't know. I've got a couple good books I want to read. Stuff like that.
Do you read fiction?
Oh, yeah. I just finished, actually, it's nonfiction, but I just finished Ann Patchett's, her short story book that was more recent.
I love her.
Oh my God, I love her.
And I forget if I told you that her most recent fiction book, it's got the painting of, it's about the sister.
Oh yeah, the Dutch House.
The Dutch House, yes. I love that the sister had type 1 in that. And I felt like she did such a good job of really, like she has to have a friend or just really did her research because she got it.
And so you should read this because the recent one is, what is it? Shit, I've got it upstairs. But anyway, I think it was just published in the last year or two.
Listeners, I have to interrupt and tell you the book that we are trying to remember the name of is These Precious Days by Ann Patchett, in case you want to read it yourself.
But she writes about her best friend whose name is Tavia, yes. Who lives with type 1 diabetes. And it's her close. Yeah. So it's her closest friend from childhood who's now like a botanist and she did all this other stuff. Maybe she was an actress. She's surrounded by so many like incredible people. And then she decided she didn't want to do that anymore. And she's the one that helped her with State of Wonder when she wrote that. Because remember how it was all about plants, South America and stuff. So that
story is in the book of short stories that you just read.
Okay. Yep. It talks about her amazing, just this friendship she has with this woman and how she does all this and has type 1 diabetes. And I'm like, that's how she did the Dutch House. Because she did it was masterful how she handled diabetes. She
totally got it. And I still remember the scene and if anyone listening hasn't read it yet, definitely go read it for reasons beyond the fact that one of the main characters has type 1. But that scene when the sister is in the audience in the theater.
Oh, yes.
I was like, that is the best depiction of a low blood sugar that I have ever read.
It was phenomenal. It was very cool.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I just love her. So I'm reading Geraldine Brooks. I don't know if you've read anything by
The Horse.
Her. So I read Horse and that was amazing. And now I've got March, which is also good. It's pretty heavy duty, but it's good.
Yeah. I have not read Horse yet, but my mom is reading it right now and really likes it.
So good.
And then the last one, I forget if I told you about this one, but Barbara Kingsolver's.
Oh, her new one.
Yes. Damon Copperfield is so good.
Okay.
And that's a great one to read over the holidays when you can read for longer than 30 minutes at a stretch. Such great characters.
Yeah. She's so amazing. I don't know if I put that on my Christmas list.
Sorry, but I have to interrupt again. I butchered the name of the book. It's Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and it's a must read.
So today, let me pull up our questions. What we wanted to talk about.
I think we were going to talk a little bit about just holiday challenges, what we've learned over the years, travel challenges.
What are some of the things that are most challenging about the holidays that you see in your clinic?
I think the thing that it's always hard to have clinic it's basically November and December because it's holidays after Halloween, it seems like now. The excess food thing comes up more after Halloween. So people often start with candy from Halloween and then, Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So I think just the food challenges and just the variability in blood sugars is just really hard. So I think when you come in to see your provider and you actually see the information, it's often a little bit discouraging, but I often try to reframe it as at least we have an explanation of food choices. And sometimes that's a better way to think about it. Just be mindful about portion sizes, but not also trying to miss out on everything by trying to control it too much. So trying to find that kind of middle ground so that you can have a good time at the family gathering or whatever you're going to do, but you don't feel bad afterwards with high blood sugars, or just feel bad because you see these numbers and you're not very happy with them. So that's probably, and then just a lot of people, the holidays are really hard because they've lost people or they're alone, or it's not the happiest time of the year for a lot of people.
No, it's not.
A lot of grief and sadness that, and sometimes food and alcohol and other things kind of creep in because people are just feeling really having a lot of feelings. So I would say those are the things that I see a lot in clinic. It's excess for a lot of reasons.
Because if you're already living with the daily stress of diabetes and then you put all that extra stress on top, then it can be a challenging time for sure.
And then I think too, for at least in Oregon, like weather is just a big one. Right now the sun is out. It's often really gloomy. And so just getting outside and doing exercise is just hard for people. So it just makes that an extra challenge because the weather doesn't always cooperate.
And then are you busier this time of year? Because I know you're busy all the time, but people are trying to get in and see you before the start of the next year.
Right. Not that much with visits, but there is a lot of demand for getting their stuff before the end of the year. So a lot of, I've met my deductible and I want this, that, and the other. And like most offices or many offices, we just don't have a lot of staff. We're just getting all that paperwork and PAs, and figuring out where to send stuff. And so I think that's probably the biggest challenge in December is just everyone who wants to get their stuff. They're trying to do it in a pretty short period of time and pharmacies are short staffed. It's just, it's really hard to get everything you need. So that's just
and I was so annoyed because I love, now I'm rapid rise alert. So fucking annoying. I'm just going to ignore it. My pharmacy that I love, and I know all of the pharmacists there, and they're all so fantastic. I just got a letter from my insurance the other day saying after January, none of your stuff will be covered at this pharmacy any longer, which is so annoying. I went over to pick up stuff this morning and I was like, why? What happened? I like going to them. I like having them as because I know them.
Right.
And I guess that's just an insurance thing, huh?
I would imagine they just negotiate a contract and it's less expensive and they can bunch everything. And a lot of insurances do that now with just mail order, mandatory mail order and that kind of stuff.
Yep. I think that's exactly, they want me to switch to mail order.
Which has pros and cons because it's nice to get it all in your house, but it is nice to have that connection community and just be able to pick stuff up and not have to wait it to get mailed to you. And mail has just been shipping. It just takes a long time. How about you? What are some challenges for you over the holidays?
For me, when we were thinking about talking about this, I was like, I don't want to get too deep into my emotional state too, because I don't want to bum people out. And really it's not. Anyway, this Christmas, I'm particularly not even stressed, but just, I have mixed feelings because it's the second Christmas since our divorce. And that means it's just my ex and I get along great and I will go over there. He stayed in our house and I am in a rental in the same neighborhood, but I'll go over to the house Christmas morning so that we can all have Christmas together with the boys and that'll be fine. And it's just a weird time, but the two older ones will be home from college. And so, of course, I'll want them to stay with me and going back and forth. And that's weird. And then like their stockings that we had their whole lives, these stockings that I bought when they were little that have their names monogrammed on them. They're at my husband's house, which is fine. And I'll fill them up Christmas Eve or Christmas morning or whatever. But it's just Christmas is just, it's different now being divorced. And then of course it brings up all sorts of memories from when my parents got divorced, when I was in high school. And I just hated the holidays. I hated having to go back and forth between two different homes at Christmas. And so I really I want to avoid that with the kids.
Right.
Make it as stress-free on them as it can be. I know.
Yeah. So again, it's not the happiest time of the year. It is. It's wonderful. And I'm sure your boys will have a lovely time because you're used to whatever you're used to.
Exactly.
Adapt. And they're older now. It's not like they're little. That would be harder for sure.
And tend to be now, of course, I can't think of the word, but like worst case scenario, like I make it worse in my head. It probably actually is in reality. Catastrophizer. I think that's what therapy calls it. Stop catastrophizing things. just in my nature.
Yeah. It's a good skill for having diabetes, because then at least you're always thinking like, what is the worst thing that can happen? Do I have everything I need? That kind of thing, right? Then people that walk out without thinking about that, and then they get to wherever they're going, they're like, oh gosh, I forgot the blah, 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 blah. And and panic.
Do you always carry around? Can you ever be the kind of person who can leave the house with just a small bag? No.
I think you and I have talked about this. Like, I've got a backpack. I take my backpack everywhere. And sometimes people will be like, why do you have your backpack? And it's partly because I just don't want to keep shifting stuff back and forth.
Right.
From a purse to a backpack. And I've got everything in my backpack and I know exactly where it is and whatever. I live in Oregon and people use backpacks. I sometimes, like, if we're going someplace where I'm going to be like in a chair and it's like narrow, then I might change and not take the backpack. But it's just, I'm a geek with a backpack because it's got my insulin, it's got all my stuff, it's got all my low blood sugar stuff, it's got everything. Mm-hmm. So
I know. Yeah, me too. Yeah. My sister and I always would laugh because she has type 1 also, but she's probably worse than I am, but she always has a gigantic bag with probably way more stuff than we actually need, but you always have to have backup. But stuff happens. Right.
So it's just good. I'm a disaster person too, because often I'll think, what if I get to this place and the car breaks down, or my pump rips off on a door handle? Do I want to have to come home, or whatever? Yeah,
totally could. That's not even disaster. That could totally happen.
Totally. So it's just peace of mind.
Or for me, just being anywhere without glucose tablets. That's always my worst.
Oh, I've got like Smarties in all my pockets. Mm-hmm. So just in case, even just walking around the block, I'll be like,
I know, me too. I don't leave the house without a thing of glucose tab. It just makes me think of the story of when I didn't used to always have glucose tabs with me, and I would just carry Skittles, a bag of Skittles or something like that. But there are always those times when you are somewhere and your blood sugar drops and you don't have what you need. And I remember it was when Miles was like 4 years old, and his preschool was doing this every spring. They would go to the strawberry patch in South Carolina, where we could grow these beautiful red, juicy strawberries. And I had volunteered to drive like 2 of the other little kids in his class. Oh, these are 4-year-olds. And as we were driving, I could feel, and this was 10 some years ago. So I wasn't wearing a pump and I wasn't wearing a CGM, but I could feel my blood sugar dropping. And I was like, I have these kids in my car.
Oh my gosh.
What am I going to, so we finally got to the strawberry place, and I was searching through my glove box, and there was like some melted Starbursts that I was like trying to suck on. And there's nothing, like, we're at a farm and there was nowhere where I could buy anything. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to ask a teacher if they have an extra juice box or something. And we were out there in the field picking strawberries. And the farmers had given us this big lecture about don't eat any of the strawberries until you wash them at home. And so I'm over there with Miles. I'm like, Miles, duck down, like ducking down in the rows of the strawberry patches, like shoving these strawberries in my mouth. And they were the best thing I had ever tasted. They were like just so good. But I thought, oh my God, what?
But you never did that again.
No, I never did that again. And you know what I never did? I never signed up to drive any kids to a field trip again.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard. Oh, yeah, that's stressful for sure.
Yes.
I was going to ask, like, why didn't you just put your head down and just start like munching on the berries that are there, which is what you did.
I know. I looked around and I was like, okay, this is what it's going to take.
The kids, what's wrong with that lady? Why does she get to do it?
I know. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Boy. I know. So we will not do an episode next week because it's Christmas. And then we will, who do we have coming up? We have some fun potential conversations coming up.
So I think Allison Nimlos is going to be with us the following week.
She's pretty well known in the diabetes community.
Yeah, doing a lot of support for women, pregnancy and mental health. So it'll be fun to talk with her about that. And then my friend Heather Nielsen has agreed to talk to us about mindfulness and diabetes. Yeah. So that'll be good. And
that'll be great.
Yeah. And then I just heard back from the TrialNet people. So we'll have a chance to talk with them.
Screening.
So that'll be good. I think those will all be episodes for January.
Okay. Yeah. And anybody who doesn't know about TrialNet, is just that the latest research that you can explain better than I can. But now there's more reason than ever to get your kids screened.
So it'll be fun to hear about what they're doing and the opportunities for family members to get screened and accessing teplizumab and what's up with that. Yeah, right. Interesting. And just any opportunity. I think they're a hub for all sorts of research opportunities with people living with type 1.
Yeah. Have you ever been involved in signed up for a research study?
I did one when I was in Colorado. I'm forgetting what the acronym is. Cacti study, I think, which was a cardiovascular type 1 diabetes trial where and they've just been following us for years. So every once in a while, I'll get these emails or messages.
Oh, you still do?
Yeah, it was through the Barbara Davis Center there.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a great thing to do, just to give back. And then also you learn stuff and see how a trial is done. And hopefully the TrialNet people will talk about. Now there's the T1D exchange that's doing all this stuff online.
I keep getting emails from them.
I do too. So I think there's lots of opportunities now, but everyone's collecting good research, which is great for learning.
Yeah, now that you said that, I feel it would be great to have somebody talk about heart issues, because I know that's another concern for us women with diabetes. Not that it would have to be like a depressing conversation, but just to know more, learn more about it.
Yeah.
I really don't know much about it at all.
There's some great people out there who could definitely give us some thoughts
give us some ideas about things that we can do to be proactive, and especially getting, just for if people are still listening, getting feedback. We got an email from somebody on LinkedIn saying that listening to the podcast was helpful to her, and that she had lived with type 1 diabetes for a long time. And so you guys are the people that we're trying to reach, are other women and men too, but women with type 1 are dealing with similar challenges and interested in having these conversations. So if anybody has an idea or a topic that they want us to talk about, please, what would they do? Comment in how would they get in touch with us?
I guess they could message us on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Or on Instagram.
Yeah. There you go. Message us on Instagram. There we go. We're getting there.
I know. We're both looking at each other. I don't know how they do that, but those are good. Those are two good places.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Embracing Diabetes with your podcast hosts, Liz Stephens and myself, Amy Stockwell, with music by Noah Mortola. We hope you enjoyed our conversation and maybe felt inspired or informed or less alone, or all of the above. Please subscribe to Embracing Diabetes on all major podcast platforms and leave a comment, question, or review. Thanks again. We hope you'll come back for more.